something is wrong with the old headquarters. You are broke. You have actually collapsed the economy. The next thing you do is to award a $250 million project. And guess what? That project is one of the fastest growing projects in this country.
It's Wednesday, the 9th of August, 2023. Hello and welcome to Let's Talk Ghana here on Seduce 2 Television. This is the show where we put Ghana first in all of our conversations. I am Eric Mawin-Egbert. And on today's edition of the show, the minority in Parliament, the NDC MPs, are demanding that the governor of the Bank of Ghana, Dr. Ernest Addison, resigns in the next 21 days or they throng the Bank of Ghana offices and occupy it. Exactly what have they been saying? Today we have exclusive details of that press conference. We have it all here for you if you stay with us here on Let's Talk Ghana. And so you're welcome back to Let's Talk Ghana. This is the show where we put Ghana first in all of our conversation. It airs every Mondays, Wednesdays and Fridays here on Seduce 2 TV, on YouTube as well as on Facebook. I am Eric Mawin-Egbert and always appreciative of the comments that you bring to us. And so some days ago, or some previous editions ago, about 3 or 2 previous editions ago on this show, where we put Ghana first, we brought you details where I sought to break down the situation in relation to the Bank of Ghana, the domestic debt exchange program, and the losses that had been incurred by the central bank. Well, when it looked as though all eyes on that particular subject was going away, the minority in Parliament say that no, we are interested. And we're giving the governor of the central bank, that's the boss of the Bank of Ghana, up to 21 days to resign, failure of which we will occupy Parliament and begin a series of protests to have him resign because he has mismanaged the country. He has done things that is not supposed to be done. Amongst many things, he has breached the Bank of Ghana Act 2012, which says that you cannot print more than 5% of the previous year's revenue for the government in times of difficulty. And so all those breaches which has resulted in the inflation that we saw in 2022, which has now resulted in haircut for the bank to post losses of 60 billion cedis, $6 billion US. That's what, in dollar terms, that's what it means. That's 2 times the amount of money we're getting from the IMF. The minority in Parliament yesterday took opportunity of their party's Moment of Truth series to hold a news conference. The minority leader, Dr. Cassiel Ato Forson, addressed that press conference. Here's exactly what transpired.
Our perspectives on issues of national importance, and during such engagements, as you are all aware, we serve you with the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. And that is precisely what we'll be doing today. Today, we will be addressing you by extension, the entire nation, on the state or the health of the Central Bank of Ghana. As you may be aware, the 2022 annual reports and financial statements of the Bank of Ghana is out. And that report has outraged the entire nation and has attracted a lot of commentaries. Today we share with you the official position of the NDC caucus in Parliament and the NDC party. But before I introduce our speaker for this afternoon, permits me to acknowledge media networks who are streaming this all-important press engagement.
Rulers and criminally minded NPP mismanagers of our economy. And this has necessitated an urgent call to save the Central Bank of the Republic of Ghana. Many media houses, including those of you here, have in the last week covered the sad and pathetic story of the Central Bank following the release of the annual report of the Bank of Ghana for the year 2022. Everyone who understood fiduciary role of the Bank of Ghana will be rightly worried about this development. It is a total disaster. Ladies and gentlemen, unless we take an urgent and drastic action, these reckless, clueless, and criminally minded NPP mismanagers of the economy have laid the final groundwork for the collapse of our financial system and the economy, which will worsen the already horrible conditions of the Ghanaian people. We in the NDC saw the red flags and have consistently warned of the mismanagement of the financial sector by the governor of the central bank and his team of incompetent deputies. This mismanagement was anchored on the jaundiced supervision by Alhaji Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, the Vice President of the Republic of Ghana, who is the brain behind the MPP's economic mismanagement team. Colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, only this week, in fact last week, the annual report and the financial statement of the Bank of Ghana was released. This report depicted the catastrophic decline of the Central Bank of Ghana into a bottomless pit. The report revealed the following astonishing facts. 1. The Bank of Ghana recorded a staggering loss of 60.8 billion Ghana cedis, which is equivalent of $6 billion US. This is twice the amount we are to receive from the recent IMF bailout. 60 billion Ghana cedis, representing $6 billion US, meaning this is twice the amount we'll be asking the IMF to give to us. This simply means that the reckless and mismanagement of the governor of the Bank of Ghana has costed the nation twice what we are struggling and sacrificing to receive from the International Monetary Fund amid its major conditionalities. Colleagues, the Bank of Ghana has also recorded a negative equity of over 55.1 billion Ghana cedis. This simply means that the Bank of Ghana is currently bankrupt, or in other words, insolvent. In other words, the once prestigious Bank of Ghana, the mother of all banks in Ghana, have been bankrupted and collapsed by the NPP economic management team, led by Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, with the complicity of the governor of the central bank and his deputies. Friends from the media, many questions have been asked about how we arrived at this gloomy and sad situation, with some expressing surprise at the state of affairs of the central bank. For us in the NDC, the disaster did not come as a surprise. In fact, we in the NDC minority have always known that the Bank of Ghana was being mismanaged. We have made this point time without number, that the Bank of Ghana is a classic example of how not to manage an economy. The NDC party is on record to have informed Ghanaians on countless occasions that the Bank of Ghana has been on a dangerous trajectory, and indeed, it has now become a crime scene with the dire consequences for us all. Fellow countrymen and women, after the inept and clueless finance minister overborrowed and got Ghana locked out of the capital market due to our unsustainable debt obligations, the NPP government chose the easy, reckless, lazy, and criminal path of printing money. Unfortunately, this is how the governor of the central bank, Dr. Ernest Addison, who is now known as the printer of money, has conspired with members of the economic mismanagement team, led by Alhaji Dr. Bawumia and the inept finance minister Ken Ofori-Atta, aka One Program, One Bond, to destroy Ghana's central bank. After this dastardly act of overlending to the government by the central bank, they then proceeded to do the unthinkable. The unthinkable is to write off the whopping 48.4 billion Ghana cedis, about half of Ghana's government indebtedness to the central bank, without parliamentary approval. This is illegal and criminal, and the NDC members of parliament will not allow this to pass. In fact, we will resist this. Both the mismanagement of the economy in our finances, the spectacular recklessness and ineptitude of the governor and his team has called into question the wisdom of leaving him at the helm of affairs of the central bank. We now present to you the manifestations of the mismanagement and the ineptitude and the potential corruption at the Bank of Ghana, which was revealed by the 2022 annual report and the financial statement of the Bank of Ghana. The report revealed that millions of Ghana cedis has been wasted on frivolous administrative expenses. The Bank of Ghana spent a whopping 131.6 million Ghana cedis on motor vehicle maintenance and its running in the year 2022 alone. In fact, this represents 114% increase over the previous year's expenditure on the same line item. Similarly, foreign and domestic travels of the Bank of Ghana cost the taxpayer a staggering 97.4 million Ghana cedis, which again is an increase of 246% over the previous year's expenditure. The Bank of Ghana also dissipated another 8.6 million Ghana cedis on directors' remuneration alone. This represents about 87% increase over the previous year's expenditure. Directors' remuneration, 8.6 million Ghana cedis. If you are to compare this to the previous year, this represents 87% increase over the previous year. This simply means that Ghanaians were charged a mismanagement fee to deliver the collapse of the central bank. The Bank of Ghana further claimed to have spent the colossal 357.9 million Ghana cedis on banking supervision expenses for the year 2022 alone. The report further disclosed that the Bank of Ghana spent a whopping 67.9 million Ghana cedis on computers expenses alone, whilst communication expenses also amounted to 32 million Ghana cedis. Communication alone, just to meet the press, they spent 32 million Ghana cedis for 1 year, the year 2022. The report further disclosed that an undisclosed expense of 287.8 million Ghana cedis was paid, undisclosed. They could not account for 287 million Ghana cedis. I beg to ask, the central bank, the Ministry of National Security, it's only the national security that can announce an amount that is undisclosed. So an amount of 287.8 million Ghana cedis that they have failed to disclose to the auditors begs for certain questions. We also saw in the report that the Bank of Ghana indeed spent an amount of $2 million on gold watches alone. I don't know who they bought the watches for, whether it's for the governor and the deputies. $2 million only on watches. Perhaps the more troubling fact is that having brought the Bank of Ghana to this terrible financial state, the governor and his deputies have found it prudent and expedient to invest $250 million, representing almost 3 billion Ghana cedis on another head office building, somewhere at Red. In our circumstances, this is the height of insensitivity in the management, the financing of a troubled country. A country that is in a major crisis. You have decided to award a contract worth $250 million, representing approximately 3 billion Ghana cedis for the purposes of getting yourself a new head office. We believe that this is insensitive and it is not right for the governor and the central bank to go into this expedition at this time. The Bank of Ghana's illegal printing of money is responsible for the depletion of Ghana's external reserve, which resulted in the unprecedented depreciation we saw in the year 2022, which obviously is the main cause of the hyperinflation of 54.something% we saw in the year 2022. It is important to state that the governor of the Bank of Ghana breached Section 37 of the Bank of Ghana Act 2012, Act 612, and Section 60 of the Bank of Ghana Amendment Act 2016, Act 918. In fact, the governor breached the laws of the central bank. which calls for urgent action against the governor of the central bank. An estimated 850,000 people were further reported by the World Bank recently that they have this singular act of the Bank of Ghana has pushed them down the poverty line as a result of the hyperinflation that the central bank caused in the year 2022. Clearly, there is blood on the hands of the governor of the central bank and his deputies. It is now obvious that many more members of the Akufo-Addo, Dr. Bawumia government will likely be keeping several more millions of dollars in their bedrooms and building a war chest to illegally buy electoral votes at both party primaries and the upcoming general elections in the year 2024. We will not be surprised that if members of the economic management team involved in this contest makes a strong showing, I won't be surprised at all. Because clearly, everything shows that maybe it's not only Madam Cecilia Daba who has kept some money in her bedrooms. We in the NDC will continue to explore ways of rescuing this country to prevent it from the doom that has befallen several West African countries. Ladies and gentlemen, the IMF had made an offer to assist the government to develop a plan for recapitalization of the central bank. And that is why paragraph 18 of Ghana's Memorandum of Economic and Financial Policy, the MEF, sent to IMF, stated this fact. Colleagues, ladies and gentlemen of the media, fellow countrymen and women, let me assure you that very soon, Ghanaians will be made to pay for Bank of Ghana recapitalization levy, a tax to recapitalize the Bank of Ghana. So as we speak, because the central bank has collapsed virtually. It is, however, our position that we have so recklessly, the government of Ghana has so recklessly mismanaged the central bank and brought it to its knees and cannot remain at the helm of affairs of the bank without being held accountable. Those who have led this reckless and criminal conduct unleash economic hardship and financial distress, and the suffering people of Ghana must be held accountable on this particular action. In fact, impunity of the highest order can no longer be tolerated by the suffering masses of Ghanaians. We must not allow this dangerous precedent to be set for future leaders. In this regards, we in the NDC call for the immediate resignation of the governor of the central bank and his deputies within 21 days from today. We are resolved to embark on popular action to occupy the central bank and drive out the team of inept, callous, and criminally minded mismanagers of our finances to save the Bank of Ghana. What we will do is that the march will ensure accountability. Colleagues, the march to ensure accountability will begin in 21 days if the governor of the Bank of Ghana does not do the needful and pack bag and baggages out of that sacred institution that he has unfortunately mismanaged. Dr. Ernest Addison and his deputies must go. There has to be an end to this impunity now. Fellow countrymen and women, let us arise and save the Bank of Ghana. This is the only bank we have that belongs to us directly. The central bank has a big role to play. We cannot allow the Bank of Ghana to be managed and be drawn to this level. We call on all of you that if the governor fails to act by resigning, you join us to march to occupy the Bank of Ghana in 21 days' time, to force him out and to force his deputies out, because we cannot allow this to continue. Arise for Ghana. Fellow countrymen and women, arise for Ghana. Thank you, and God bless you.
And so the details from that press conference, and afterwards, there were questions which were asked. Myself, being present, put questions to the minority leader as to what the minority is going to do beyond the 21-day ultimatum. Because already, they've asked the Bank of Ghana to make appearances, or the central bank governor to make appearances before the House, before the Finance Committee to present reports and the likes, and the governor does not appear. So, is it The case that you're resorting only to an ultimatum to resign. And then the questions were asked as to the defense that has been offered as well by the Bank of Ghana in relation to how the losses has to do with the haircut, the domestic debt exchange, and all of that. There was a response to that as well. And then the minority chief whip, Kwame Gavin-Zagboja, he was present as well with a bevy of other minority membership there as well, and made it quite clear that, look, amidst all of these concerns, the Bank of Ghana is building a new head office worth $250 million US. Amidst all the losses they've posted, they've made monies available to themselves and they are building a new headquarters. That is unacceptable, and the pace of that project is questionable. Here's the responses to the set of questions which came through as well.
Section 30 and Section 60 of the Bank of Ghana Amendment Act describe on this matter. It can only be meant to support government expenditure using 5% of previous year's revenue as the benchmark. Unfortunately, the governor gives 7.2% of GDP, representing about 30% of previous year's revenue. So he has not just reached it lightly, but you can see that he deliberately did this. What I can say is that it's only the Attorney General who has the power to prosecute someone who breaches the law. So it's not in the bosom of Parliament to prosecute. What we can only do as members of Parliament is to hold him before us. But unfortunately, the crime has been caused already. He has already destroyed our livelihood. In fact, the act, this singular act of printing 7.2% of GDP in 1 year in terms of revenue has pushed, according to the World Bank, 850,000 Ghanaians into the poverty line. It has not only done that. If you are to go further and drill down the numbers, you will notice that this singular act has also moved a number of Ghanaians from middle income to low income. And certain rich people have now become middle income. So the governor has messed us up big time. He has imposed an illegal inflation tax on the people. Inflation is a tax. It is an illegal tax because it does not have legislation. The governor has imposed an illegal inflation tax on the people of Ghana. That is why today when you go to the market, things that you used to buy it 1 cedi, the next day you go in and you will notice that you are buying it at 5 Ghana cedis. Clearly, this takes away your disposable income and push you further line the poverty line. This is what the governor has done. We can't continue to allow this thing to happen. What we are seeking to do now is to secure our country. He should first leave the scene because he has shown that he cannot stand firm for the people of Ghana. We've seen examples in other countries. We saw what Bernanke did in the United States. But what we are seeing here now is that we have seen a governor who has turned himself into a printer. He now owns a printing press. All what he does is to print money. We can't stand that. So we are asking him to leave, and he should leave now. And when he leaves, eventually we'll get a good governor. First of all, the first thing we are seeking to do now is to get him to stop with the printing. Stop what he's doing, and then bring someone in, and let that person be aware that that predecessor lost his job because he failed to adhere to the Bank of Ghana Act, and that is the reason why we are letting him go. And finally, on the issue of what we have done, why we are calling on the governor. I don't think there's nothing else we can do. Simple put, the governor must go. We have stated here today that we have given him 21 days as the main opposition party for him to pack his bags and leave that secret place called Bank of Ghana. He should leave. 21 days because we think as a governor he will need at least 3 weeks to hand over properly. So we are being charitable. We're giving him 21 days. He should immediately pack his bag, write his handing over, and leave the central bank. If he fails to leave the central bank, we are urging you all, the media, fellow countrymen and women, NDC, even MPP, they should join us. Let us occupy the central bank and ask the governor to leave the scene. because he can't continue staying there. He has shown that he's incompetent. He doesn't care about livelihood of the central bank because clearly he has failed on the constitutional mandate of price stability. He single-handedly, working with his deputies, has run the central bank down. As if that is not enough, knowing that the central bank has collapsed, he has further gone out there to decide that he's going to build head office worth 3 billion Ghana cedis, 250 billion US dollars at this critical time. So clearly, he doesn't care. He doesn't care. We all know what he has done. We saw how he has mismanaged our resources. Bank of Ghana's resources. I don't think he will manage his business the way he has managed. So, our friends from the media, it's clear that the central bank governor must go, and you will have to go now. 21 days start taking today. He should go. So help us in counting. In fact, Sammy, you have to assist us to do the countdown. We have to count down when the governor must go. He must go now. Thank you.
I think leaders' position is quite clear. The Bank of Ghana is in crisis. It's self-inflicted. And this is orchestrated by President Akufo-Addo and Dr. Bawumia's government. When they fail to manage the economy, they basically turn the Bank of Ghana into a printing press, printing more money. The responsibility to prosecute the Bank of Ghana governor and anybody who accountable is the Attorney General. But which of you here believes that Prophet Dami is going to prosecute any member of our President Akufo-Addo's government? It's not going to happen. But I can assure you that apart from the fact that the governor fears appearing before Parliament, in fact, he doesn't even like appearing before the Finance Committee of Parliament. He thinks he's only accountable to President Akufo-Addo. And the last time we needed to remind him that even the Finance Minister, upon all his escapades, it's forced sometimes to appear before Parliament. So if the Finance Minister is bigger than you, how dare you not be able to appear before Parliament? Let him understand. He is accountable to Parliament. And the 21 days is a long grace period. Which of you will believe that a Bank of Ghana in this level of crisis, self-inflicted, will be building a $250 million new headquarters? In fact, those of you who know Rich Hospital, when President Mahama had the opportunity to lead this country, he built Rich Hospital that you and I can use today. Right opposite of that hospital on the right-hand side is Bank of Ghana new headquarters. As if something is wrong with the old headquarters. You are broke, you have actually collapsed the economy. The next thing you do is to award a $250 million project. And guess what? That project is one of the fastest growing projects in this country. Not hospital projects, not education project, not road project. The fastest growing project in this country is the construction of Bank of Ghana. So how can you tell us that the country is broke when the headquarters of Bank of Ghana is going on at a speed of light? It means that this is deliberate. What will we do after the 21 days? They shouldn't try us. We have options, like we always say. Our options are in our head. They should not try because we are capable of deploying options that will get him out of office by force if he refuses to go within the 21 days. And we are telling him he should not dare us because we have the capability of driving him out of the office with your support. Thank you very much.
The governor in his address has said that as for him, he's done everything right, and we should blame it on Kenneth Buriata and Dr. Bawumia for asking him to write government debt of about 48 billion off. Clearly, the Bank of Ghana in the year 2022 made a loss of 60 billion. Of this 60 billion, they wrote off about 48 billion, isn't it? So it tells you that even without the write-off, the governor, the actions of the governor and his inactions has actually collapsed the central bank ahead of the domestic debt exchange. Yes. So if you take 48 million from 60 billion, you still have about 12 billion. As we speak, the central bank has a negative equity of 55 billion Ghana cedis. Negative equity. Now, it means that they don't have any surplus, any money there. He's building a head office at a cost of $250 million. This simple means that He's printed additional money to finance the construction of the new head office. So this guy will not stop. And Kwame said that it's the fastest growing building in Accra, project in Accra. In Ghana. So he could tell you that since he's the printer, he's only printing by the day. And every minute when he wakes up, he prints, and he prints to build head office. So clearly, this guy will not learn. And that's why we are urging you all, colleagues, fellow Ghanaians, our brothers and sisters from the media, that join us in this call. It is for us to secure our country. We need to secure our country. This is our motherland. We have no other country. We have to get this man out. Let us get a new governor, and let that governor come in and learn that the predecessor was pushed out for ABCD, so he will not go there. If we are not careful, and we are to allow this governor to stay in the office, what will happen is that we will set bad precedent for future managers to do same and to destroy our livelihood. He has depleted Ghana's reserve to about 1 week of import poverty. The finance minister informed us that even with the IMF money, additional drawdown from the IMF, by the end of the year, Ghana's net international reserve will be about 3 weeks. 3 weeks. Is this the government we want to keep in office? He has messed us up so much that we cannot wait to see his back. 21 days time, we'll say bye-bye to the government. All right.
Right, so those are the details from that press conference, and that's what we're going to leave it all today. No comments from us, but we're going to be watching the next 21 days. Does Dr. Ernest Addison resign? Because remember, removing him is like removing a high court judge. The processes are daunting. It's like removing a superior court judge even. The processes are daunting, and he has a secure or a fixed term of office which cannot be removed by any individual whatsoever. And so it will be interesting whether or not he decides to budge. Already the government has been defending him, but these are matters that should have you worried. These losses, and even the additional building of a new head office. I am Eric Mawena Egbeta. This is Let's Talk Ghana, and that's how we draw the curtains down on today's edition. We return on Friday, perhaps with responses to some of these questions. Stay with us. We're back again on Friday.
Studios 2 TV. The truth is here in your eyes.